Welcome to Beyond Billable, Lessons from Lexpo. My name is Pim Bettis, and I'm founder of Clay Richard, Legal AI Consultants. Broadcasting from Lexpo, the legal innovation event, we're diving into the future of the legal sector. In this special series, you'll hear directly from the experts and visionaries at Lexpo about how to future-proof your firm. Practical ideas and honest conversations about the impact of AI on your legal department or practice. This is the English version of my conversation with Douwe Groenevelt, former head of legal at ASML and founder of Viridea. In today's world, we have the amazing ability to have a conversation in Dutch and use AI to generate an English version for you. Now, I get it, listening to two AI-generated voices for a long time can feel a bit odd, so we've kept this episode short and sweet, but it's packed with valuable insights. In this episode, we dive into his film, Barney, The End of Lawyers, how and why he created it entirely with AI, and which skills enabled him to pull off such a project with no professional film experience. We explore how this experiment translates to the legal world. Will legal work soon be performed by non-lawyers? What does good enough mean when viewed from a non-legal perspective? One important takeaway from this conversation: Douwe is a tech optimist, but his optimism isn't rooted in a rosy view of the future. On the contrary, he wants to shake as many people awake as possible about AI's impact on the legal sector. I hope you enjoy this engaging conversation with a sharp thinker who isn't afraid to look the future straight in the eye. Douwe, welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
We're currently at Lexpo, the legal innovation event. Douwe, you've just showcased your film here today, titled Barney, The End of Lawyers, which you've created entirely yourself using AI. Could you tell us briefly what your film is about and why you decided to make it?
Sure, creating this film has been one of the most enjoyable experiences recently. The movie explores the rapid and overwhelming advancements in artificial intelligence and their potential impact on the legal profession. It's both a humorous and somewhat dystopian look at how lawyers are or aren't coping with these disruptive technologies.
Interesting. What inspired you specifically to focus on the legal sector's response to AI?
Well, having worked as an attorney myself, I noticed a significant gap. On one hand, you have innovative individuals fully embracing AI, seeing its potential as transformative. On the other hand, the vast majority, perhaps 90 to 95% of professionals, are either skeptical or simply unaware of just how disruptive these changes will soon become. That tension intrigued me and sparked the idea for the film.
So your aim was partly to provoke awareness, maybe even a bit of discomfort among your peers?
Exactly. Awareness and humor together can be incredibly effective at opening people's eyes to serious issues. I wanted to create something that entertains, but also delivers a strong message. AI isn't just another tool, it's fundamentally reshaping our world.
Can you walk us through your thought process behind making this film?
Certainly. Initially, I was driven by curiosity, wondering how quickly things might change given how fast AI has evolved just recently. The core question became, if this is how quickly technology is advancing today, where will we be in 2, 4, or even 10 years? That uncertainty fascinated and frankly worried me. My aim was to highlight this enormous gap between the tech-savvy innovators who clearly see this disruption coming and the large majority who don't fully grasp the scope of these changes. Humor seemed the ideal way to tackle this because it disarms people and allows them to confront serious issues without feeling defensive.
Yet there's clearly a darker undertone as well. Why include a dystopian scenario?
The dystopian aspect captures my own internal struggle. I'm deeply optimistic about technology and passionate about promoting AI adoption, but I also see significant risks and ethical dilemmas. The dystopian elements are a caution, emphasizing the need to confront these issues head-on now rather than later.
Sounds like your advocacy for AI is driven by caution more than excitement, kind of like a defense mechanism.
Precisely. I'm pushing for proactive engagement because if we don't guide this technology, it'll guide us, and we might not like where it leads.
I see that, and let's talk more about that later. First, tell me about your creative process. How exactly did you make this film entirely with AI?
It was a fascinating journey. I used several advanced AI tools like Google's Vio 3 and Gemini. The actual production, from scriptwriting to generating video scenes, took about 14 hours, remarkably short given traditional filmmaking standards.
That sounds incredibly efficient. Did your background as a lawyer help you at all in using these tools?
Absolutely. Interestingly, skills I developed while crafting precise legal documents translated well into writing effective prompts for AI. The precision required in legal work was surprisingly applicable when guiding AI to create exactly what I envisioned.
Can you identify some of the skills or abilities that were critical in this process?
Good question. I guess clear and structured thinking, attention to detail, and precise communication were all crucial. Additionally, curiosity and a willingness to experiment played a significant role.
What fascinates me most about this conversation, Douwe, is how I'm talking to an ex-lawyer who broke down barriers between completely different disciplines. You went from being a lawyer to making films without any formal training. Before we had generative AI, this would be impossible.
Absolutely. AI effectively removes the toolbox barrier. Previously, every discipline had its specialized tools. Filmmaking needed camera skills, editing know-how, production experience. Legal work required a deep understanding of law, drafting skills, negotiation tactics. AI now encapsulates these specialized tools, allowing you to cross into fields that would otherwise be inaccessible.
It's fascinating. Does that mean non-legal professionals can generate pretty sophisticated legal work too?
Sure, AI lets people quickly acquire competencies well outside their original fields of expertise. You don't need years of dedicated training anymore, just the right prompt and a clear idea of what you want.
Do you think the quality holds up, though? Making an amateur film is one thing, but legal documents have serious consequences. How do you look at that risk?
Great question. Think of it this way. With amateur films, professionals might critique the lighting or the composition, details the general viewer doesn't notice. Similarly, legal experts might see flaws or imperfections in AI-generated documents. But does it really matter to the client if the outcome is practical, understandable, and legally sufficient? The answer is no. That's the shift. AI is changing our perception from pursuing perfection to understanding when good enough truly is good enough.
I find that really bold of you to say. I know many legal professionals disagree with you on this, so what you're saying is that it's really about practical effectiveness rather than professional perfection.
Exactly. Professionals tend to set the bar very high, too high even. Lawyers, filmmakers, musicians, everyone has their definition of excellence. But AI forces us to reconsider what's genuinely necessary versus what's traditionally been the standard.
That's powerful. Essentially, AI is not only removing barriers, it's redefining what it means to be skilled or competent.
Precisely, it reshapes the landscape, allowing people to reinvent themselves more fluidly than ever before.
What's also intriguing to me is how your prompt skills seem to transcend specific industries. Have you found that your prompting abilities developed in the legal sector translated directly into filmmaking?
Definitely. What's fascinating is that the challenges I encountered while prompting AI to create video scenes were remarkably similar to those I faced when generating legal documents. For instance, the structure of a film scene and the formulation of a legal clause both require meticulous attention to clarity and consistency. A small oversight in wording can lead AI to misinterpret your intent entirely, much like drafting errors in a legal contract.
Right. So, for lawyers or any professional wanting to improve their prompt skills, what would be your main advice?
My advice would be to practice prompting in areas you feel passionate about or enjoy personally, even if that's outside of your professional environment. If you have a hobby, be it music, film, art, or even cooking, start prompting AI in that context. The enjoyment factor naturally motivates you to experiment and practice more frequently, rapidly enhancing your prompting abilities.
So, you're suggesting lawyers who want to sharpen their AI prompting skills might benefit from engaging in completely unrelated fields.
Exactly. When you prompt AI in an area you're genuinely interested in, you're less inhibited and more creative. This playful experimentation greatly accelerates your skill development, and these enhanced prompting skills inevitably translate back into your professional tasks. In other words, mastering prompting in a fun, low-stakes environment makes you far more effective when applying those same skills in high-stakes professional scenarios.
Douwe, you spoke earlier about this future scenario, this final stage where AI dominates, control is lost, and society becomes addicted to algorithms. Could you expand a bit more on how you envision that?
Sure, Pim. I think we're heading towards a scenario where the efficiency gains and capabilities of AI become so irresistible that we gradually start surrendering control. It's inevitable. Resisting it will just become increasingly difficult. Over time, society will become dependent, even addicted, to algorithms that fulfill our every desire, basically satisfying our hedonistic needs. First, it's our phones, but soon it'll be virtual reality and all sorts of immersive technologies that will consume us entirely. I see us slipping into a society similar to the dystopian visions portrayed in sci-fi literature, a society driven by instant gratification, passivity, and algorithmic control. It saddens me, honestly, but it feels like a realistic outcome.
I'm going to ask a really difficult question. Feel free to say you don't know the answer, but do you think there are intermediate events or milestones, something specific that might happen along the way?
That is indeed a really difficult one to predict. Frankly, things are moving so fast it's impossible. I do think we should seriously consider the possibility of a black swan event, something unexpected and impactful involving AI tools. To illustrate with a concrete example, I think a major scandal could happen involving one of the leading AI tools used by hundreds of law firms. A massive security breach, for instance, or a scenario where highly sensitive client data or documents are leaked due to hallucinations or data mismanagement by the AI. The moment something like that happens, regulatory bodies and professional organizations will immediately jump into action. Probably not a bad thing in the long run. But that's just one example within the legal industry. Events like these could drastically alter the trajectory we're on.
And how likely do you think such an event is?
Honestly, pretty likely. Maybe not exactly the scenario I described, but something similar in scale and impact. With the rapid and somewhat unchecked growth of AI technologies, it seems almost inevitable that we'll see some significant incidents that expose vulnerabilities. The industry isn't fully prepared for this, and the implications could be pivotal.
Douwe, to wrap it up, what would be your main advice to the legal sector?
It's actually very simple. Don't walk away from it. Look it straight in the eyes. Don't freeze like a deer in the headlights. Walk around the car, look at the driver, and say, we're going to work with this.
So really confront it.
Yes. As management, as partners of firms, you should decide. Tomorrow, we start working with AI as much as we can. As managing partner, you should lead by example. This shouldn't be optional anymore. It has to be mandatory.
Because if you don't,
then you're gone. It's really a survival thing. If you don't do this, you're finished. It's also important to say it can be really fun. I don't want to paint the future purely rosy, far from it. Even in the short or medium term, it won't necessarily be easy. You'll have major business disruptions in your model. Many firms won't be able to maintain their current margins, even if they embrace AI. But if you don't do it, then you're completely lost in a few years.
So you see it as the only path forward?
Exactly. It's the only way to even begin to understand where this is going. You have to use it daily. You have to integrate it into every facet of your firm.
So like Ryan Holiday says, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah, I like that. The obstacle is the way. But don't confuse my advice with some kind of sales pitch. I'm not saying, come join me on this beautiful journey to a utopia. It's more like, join me because there is no alternative.
A bit grim, but at least you're being honest and clear.
It can be really cool in the short and medium term if you embrace it, though. You can really win, innovate. Instead of just sending newsletters, you can co-create actual products with your clients. There are so many great things you can do, but you have to start.
Fantastic. Douwe, thank you so much.
Thank you, Pim. This was fun.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Billable, Lessons from Lexpo. This podcast is a collaboration with Neo House Amsterdam and Lexpo, the legal innovation event. If you have any questions following this episode, please email us at hello@clayrichard.eu.